Hi everyone, welcome to SGLEDs Amazon Live video. This week we'll be looking at our floodlight range. They're all remote controlled, so we'll be kind of going through some of their specifications, their details, product details, and kind of their functions, and we'll show you how they work under kind of normal conditions. Also, we'll go through any kind of questions or any kind of problems we have seen on our page regarding our floodlights. So this week we have with us actually the 70 watt SGLEDs floodlight, the 30 watt version, which is smaller, and the kind of medium size we have, which is 50 watts. So this is the 50 watt version. This has 8 ceramic heatsink pixels, so as you can see there's 2, 4, 6, 8. So this kind of means the beam will be evenly spread, as once you turn it on it will kind of put out a bright light and it will be even. So if we just kind of briefly cover the other 2 lights as well as they're in the video. This is the 70 watt version. So this has actually 3, 6, 9, 12. So 12 ceramic heat sinks on the 70 watt version. So this puts out a lot of light as well. It has a very wide beam coverage angle as well. So it's kind of a really bright option if you're looking for something bigger. The 30 watt itself just has 4 ceramic heat sinks, so 2 and 4. So this is kind of the smaller version. It's easier kind of to put in smaller places or for use for kind of uplighting or anything, especially on smaller buildings, like kind of residential or commercial. So you, with SGLEDs you kind of have 3 options, a big, small and a medium, which is kind of nice to choose. Sometimes floodlights always come a little bit too big or a little bit too small. But with a 50 watt, a 30 and a 70, you kind of get a good option and range between all 3 of them. However, today we'll be focusing on the 50 watt version, so I'll come up to the camera in a moment and we'll kind of just go through some of the specifications and kind of how the light looks, and then kind of we'll show you some of the features the light has as well. So I'll just kind of move towards the light. I'll bring the remote control with me as well. So as we're closer to the camera, you can see here there's 8 independent ceramic heatsink pixels. So this is actually kind of makes this light, this is the patented kind of technology SGLEDs uses for the floodlight or any of their lights. So the use of ceramic heat sinks, first of all, the ceramic heatsink allows for a wider face on these heat sinks. So this means that kind of the heat dissipates faster on a wider face of a heat sink. So in kind of more traditional LEDs that are aluminium or kind of other using aluminium, there's not kind of a lot of heat dissipation happening. So within a light that's using aluminium heat sinks, there's kind of, you're using PC boards, thermal adhesives or internal fans. But as you can see through the you can see a little bit through the hollow body of this light, there's no internal fans or PC boards. So using the ceramic heat sinks means the LED chip is just directly attached right to the ceramic heat sink. So there's no internal fan or thermal adhesive. So this kind of reduces heat dissipation or kind of a heat buildup and moves the heat dissipation through the body of the light. So as you can see, if you take a kind of closer look at the design and the body, the light itself is actually hollow at the back. So this means the heat is going right through the kind of wide face of the ceramic heatsink and going right out through the back of the light, through the hollow body. So this kind of allows the air convection, even from the top and the sides of the light as well. So air convection is happening all over the light, kind of getting air into there, moving the heat away from this LED chip. So the life of this light will be much longer than kind of a traditional aluminium LED light. As we can kind of take a brief look at the controller, you can see here that it's kind of small, it's easy to use, and it has a lot of options. So first of all, there's off and on, and then there's kind of the basic colors, so white, red, green and blue. So obviously the light itself has RGB chips. So the use of kind of individual RGB chips instead of a different collaboration of different colors means you can you get more color options by using just RGB chips rather than just kind of having individual colored chips. So the RGB chips actually mix all the colors of light together instead of just kind of producing one color themselves. So with an RGB chip, it kind of produces better quality light and gives you more options when you're lighting, especially in the garden or for a party or something. So now you can kind of see on the remote here, if I put the light down, you can see on the controller or the remote here, there's 4 different modes here, which is kind of mode 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are different color modes. You'll kind of see later on in the video when I go through the modes and stuff. This is the brightness, so the dimmer up and down. This is the speed, so left and right covers the speed of the beam and the fade as well. And then on the top it has white, red, green and blue. So white actually for kind of RGB floodlights is quite unusual, as usually you will get an RGB floodlight and the chips are individually different colors. So you'll get an individual red, individual green and an individual blue chip. But this one actually mixes them all together, so they can produce white light, which is actually kind of unique, especially for LED floodlights. As we kind of go through as well, you can see all the various color options on the light. So orange, coral, gold, purple, pink, yellow, orchid, navy, indigo, lime, aqua, and cyan. So you can kind of see that the colors, it offers a lot of different modes and a lot of different colors, along with various kind of effects you can have. So this is can be used in the garden for a party or kind of any kind of wedding, any event or something that requires uplighting, downlighting, or kind of party lighting. So the various working modes or the kind of strobe and beams that you would like just for kind of parties or something is at the top here, just under the color range. So it says strobe, flash, fade, and smooth. So we'll kind of go through those later and you can take a look at them in action. Kind of strobe is kind of like the party lighting you would go through. Flash as well. Fade is kind of a slower one, so it's kind of providing accent lighting or something like that in the backyard or garden. So and smooth is kind of, you'll see later, is kind of less intense and more for kind of garden lighting again, but not so much parties, more kind of relaxed and accent lighting. So I'll sit back down after we go through the controller and we can kind of take a look at the light later on. So kind of the standout feature of this product is actually the remote control and the memory function. So in terms of the memory function, if you turn the light off via the controller and then turn it back on, the light will just stay in the last mode that you used the light in. So this actually happens as well if you turn the light off at the mains also. So if you kind of turn the light off at the mains or you forget or something like this, but you still want the mode to stay on the next day or kind of as it's being used in the garden or for a party, the light won't change, so you don't have to reset the light or put any different modes on again. It just stays in the last mode you were using it. So that's kind of really useful if you're kind of using it for accent lighting in the garden or the front garden, back garden, a building or an office that needs uplighting or a bridge or something like this. So kind of it's just easy, as long as you switch it on or switch it off, it will just go back to the last mode you were using. So this is kind of a really nice function to have and kind of unique to SGLEDs. Now we'll just kind of go through a couple more specifications. So actually the durability of the light. The durability is similar to our other floodlights, so regular floodlights that produce white beams. So the IP rating of this light is actually IP66. So IP66 is actually a relatively high rating, especially for a floodlight. It means it can be definitely used outdoors in extreme conditions. So if it's used in the snow, the rain, storms, or kind of any windy or kind of any damp or wet areas, the IP66, the light is going to be fine. So the first number in IP66, so IP6, is actually the waterproof rating. So a waterproof rating of 6 is actually very high. It means the light is well sealed and there won't be any water damage. As you can see here with the lenses, they're very direct, they're very hardly attached. You wouldn't ever be able to take one off without using kind of a lot of tools. You would definitely need pliers to pull them off from the heatsink. So as you can see with my hand, there would be no way to be able to get that off. It's actually really hard. So you would definitely need pliers. Maybe in another video one day we'll show how to get them off with pliers, just to show how durable it is. But actually to get these off by hand is actually almost kind of impossible. You definitely need a tool to do that. So that means the light is actually very heavily sealed or highly sealed against dust and water. So you can kind of use this light anywhere in any harsh conditions or harsh places. It will function perfectly fine. Even in very cold temperatures, LEDs actually function very well, as low as minus 25 degrees Celsius. So if you live in a very cold area and it's minus 25 degrees Celsius, the LED floodlight or any LED you have outdoors will still function as normal and perfectly fine. So minus 25, they work very well in low temperatures, and these kind of lights kind of function really well. LEDs especially work well in low temperatures, so you don't really need to kind of worry about any cold temperatures or ice or snow or anything. Especially for this floodlight, this light is going to be perfectly fine no matter what kind of conditions you put it in. So second, we'll just kind of cover any questions or problems that we kind of get across our Amazon page regarding our floodlights. So we'll just cover the most popular questions we get. So I have the paper with me just as a reference point. The most popular questions we get is, does the light have a memory function even if you turn it off at the mains? So if you switch this floodlight off at the wall or kind of from the mains, or pull the plug out and then plug it back in, the light itself will actually go straight back into kind of the last mode you left it in. So we kind of covered that just earlier in the video as well. So if you turn the light off at the mains or via the remote control, either way, the light will just go back straight into its memory function. Memory function in the last kind of mode you set the light to. Our second most popular question we get is, do you have to use the remote to turn these on or off? The remote control does kind of turn the light on, yes. You do need to use the remote to turn the light on and off. However, if you want to just switch the light off quickly, if you can't find the remote to hand, you can just kind of switch it off at the mains and turn it back on at the mains. The light will go straight back into the last mode you set it in. So it's all about the memory function, turning it on and off. Can you use these lights with a timer? Yes, you can. You can kind of, as long as you have your own timer, they don't come with one, but you can kind of set them to a timer as well if you have one. Do they work in snow or low temperatures? Yes, actually any LED works in very low temperatures, as low as minus 25 degrees Celsius. So these lights work perfectly fine, and they're kind of built to last in extreme conditions. So if it's very cold or very warm, the light will be perfectly fine. If it's very damp, wet or dusty, the light is going to be perfectly fine and function as normal. Does the body of the light get hot? So this is kind of a common question as well you get with floodlights, especially people that want to do uplighting. So we'll kind of show you the example that people kind of ask the question, like if you were to lay the light flat, will the body be incredibly hot and maybe burn like a carpet or a surface? In terms of these lights, the body doesn't actually get that hot, especially the back of the light. So you could lay it on a flat surface, plastic, wood, or kind of a carpet, anywhere you need to. You don't really need to use the bracket itself. The bracket is just kind of another option to kind of give you more options, but you don't necessarily need the bracket because the body doesn't get that hot. The front ceramic heatsinks will be kind of hot to touch if the light is left on for a long time, obviously, like every light, but as far as the body of the light is concerned and the back of the light, it will be running at a kind of there will be a very minimal temperature. You can even pick it up, hold it, there won't be any problems. So it won't burn anything if you leave them flat or you're not using the bracket. So they're perfectly fine to be put in any direction or area for uplighting or downlighting. Can multiple lights be used with one control? Yes, multiple lights can actually be used with one control, as long as you keep the kind of the sensor of the remote control and the sensor of the light within a 120 degree angle. So if you have two lights, you kind of need to cover a 120 degree angle with both of the lights in this kind of space, and then you can kind of point it there, and then it will be able to control both of them. So as long as the sensor of the light covers 120 degrees, you're kind of within that vicinity, you'll be able to kind of control both lights and set them in different mode. So the sensor that we're actually talking about on the remote, this light isn't plugged in, so I won't be able to turn it on, but the other light is, we'll show later. But this is the sensor of the control. I'll kind of move closer so you can see. On the front of the light, this is the remote control sensor, and this is the sensor on the control. So as long as you're within kind of 120 degree angle, so it's kind of this kind of shape, it's got like a small arch. As long as your remote is actually pointing within 120 degrees of this sensor here, you'll be able to control the light easily. And if you have two, you will still be able to set them both in various modes. So kind of the control and the sensor kind of work along just 120 degree angle, and you can kind of use multiple lights at the same time. So that was kind of the remote sensor as well. That was our most popular question. And then we'll kind of go through and show you the light in action. So I'll turn the light off at the wall here, and then we can kind of show you what this the 50 watt light actually does once it's turned on, some of the effects and the multiple colors you can use. I'll turn the light off here as it's a white light, but we'll kind of show the white light of this light as well. We'll use it on the back of the light, on the back wall. You can kind of see some of the effects of the light and kind of what the light does. We'll kind of use it as an uplight, so we'll use the bracket first, but kind of as there was a question earlier about leaving it on surfaces on the back. So maybe I'll lay it flat as well, just so you can get a better idea and show you it working perfectly fine as an uplight flat on the floor without the bracket. So I'll just turn the light off now, and we'll kind of switch it on here. As you can see there, that's the kind of I'll set it to white. So this is white light. This is just the first option on the controller. So this was white light. If I choose to, I can actually just lay the light perfectly flat. You can kind of see the bright light there. So it's actually kind of, it's a bright, it can be used as a bright white floodlight. So this is a good option actually. This light provides a lot of options. So if you're looking for something white, but just in case you need different colors or anything, you can kind of opt for one of these RGB lights, as they produce white light and all the other colors as well. So instead of just getting stuck with the RGB, you also have a regular, normal working floodlight as well. You could even mix this up and kind of attach a motion sensor, and then you've got a security light. So it's kind of, it just provides a lot of options. So as I'll put it back up on the bracket, you can see there's no kind of damage or anything to the table or the body. And it's still running at a very cool temperature. It's kind of cool to touch and everything, so that's fine. There's the red. As you can see, the red is quite an intense, kind of deep red. I think it's a nice effect. It's kind of good. It would be good for Halloween or events or parties or anything. So just to kind of give you an idea of how kind of wide the beam is, I'll lay the light flat. You can see kind of there, the light actually covers quite a wide angle. It looks to be around kind of 120 degrees as well. So the light is kind of, it's the coverage angle and the beam is quite far, so it's far reaching and it's bright, so it'll be able to cover a very big distance, especially in a garden or a front yard or a backyard or garage. Even for uplighting, as you can see, the light will kind of have a very good effect on a wall washer effect, as the light is actually very powerful and wide reaching. So now we switch to green. As you can see, the green is also intense as the red. The green is kind of a really nice effect, especially if you're kind of looking for St. Patrick's Day lighting or anything like this. So we'll just kind of go through some of the basic colors it provides and maybe some of the other colors, and we'll go through some of the effects as well. So here's the blue light. This is actually my favorite color that comes from the light. The blue effect is kind of, it's a nice kind of deep blue, but it has like some kind of electric look as well. So it's kind of like a deep electric blue. The blue is actually quite nice. As you can see, it lights up a really wide area. So now we'll kind of set the light into mode 1. As there's 4 working modes and then other effects. So maybe we'll take a look at mode 1. So this is kind of a flashing red light. This could be used kind of in, if you have 2 or more lights, you can kind of set them up into mode, different working modes, and get a flashing effect. So this is mode 2. As you can see, each mode is a different color, but they're having the same effect. So they're like a flashing effect, but different colors. So mode 1 was red, mode 2 was green, and we'll go into mode 3. So mode 3 is actually a flashing blue. Again, you could use this as kind of for anything really, in terms of Halloween lighting, accent lighting, maybe not TARS because the light is a little bit too intense. But as you can see here, there's actually the orange kind of yellowy color as well. So I'll set it into the middle on white again, just so you can get a rest for your eyes as well. There's too much flashing. So as you can see here, there's kind of white light. It's like a daylight beam. It seems about 5000 K as well. So as I put the light on, kind of a little bit on the bracket, so you can kind of see it's not hot to touch still. It's been working a while and doing various modes. The body is neutral. There's absolutely no heat coming out from it, so that's perfectly fine. We'll just kind of take a look at some of the other modes as well, just to kind of get a better idea. So as you can see here, that's strobe. The strobe effect is kind of good. You can change the colors as well. So if we go into red and then set the light to strobe, you're kind of going into a flashing white light. So that's good as well. It could kind of be used for any kind of use in terms of maybe safety reasons, or you're just trying to get attention as well. So it can be used for various different things. Here's flash. So flash itself seems more kind of geared towards party use or anything like that, or events, as there's various colors coming out at kind of various, like a high speed. So it's kind of to get attention, get the kind of crowd going and things like that. So it's kind of party decorative lighting. This mode here is fade, so it's a little bit slower, as you can see, and kind of the lights are not so intense, but they're kind of flashing and changing relatively quickly still in comparison to the previous 2. And now we'll just go for smooth. So smooth for me is actually the favorite kind of option on the light. It's more kind of residential and family friendly in terms of lighting, because it's not so kind of in your face and flashing all the time. So this kind of mode is better just for accent lighting in your garden or kind of the front of your home or business. So as long as the light isn't changing too much, the flash isn't flashing all over the place like the previous ones, kind of for attention or getting you in a party mood. This is kind of more applicable kind of just for general kind of decorative lighting. So you can use it on a building, residential or commercial. So it's just kind of going to get some good attention. It's going to bring people in to look at your building or home. And it's kind of practical as well, as the lighting is bright and wide reaching. So you can use this kind of as general lighting as well, just it's giving you a different color effect. So as long as you're kind of getting some nice colors and it's kind of providing some nice looks as well, it's kind of a really good option. So after showing you all the various modes, I'll set the light just into bright white, normal daylight, so 5000K. And then we can kind of go through the last part of the video and some of the information on Amazon about this. So actually we kind of did cover the adjustable feature of the the brightness as well. So as you can see, you can kind of adjust the brightness of the light. So this is the lowest brightness on the light here, and as you can see, it gradually goes up. So it's dimmable as well. The other colors are also dimmable, so it's not just bright white light that's dimmable. You can adjust the brightness of every color, so that's kind of really good. That's a nice way to use the light as well. So even in various color modes, you can adjust the brightness, make it dimmer or brighter depending on what you need and what kind of area you're kind of illuminating. So if I set the light back into white, kind of dim, kind of like this is the second lowest brightness, so it's still very bright. As you can see, I can't really point it towards my face as it's too bright, but the brightness on the second lowest brightness is still kind of incredibly bright. It seems to be kind of lighting up a big area as well, and the coverage is wide. So now we'll just kind of cover what's happening this week for these lights, as our whole range actually has an offer. So I'll turn the light on here so you can get a better idea. Yeah, so for this whole range, the 70 watt, the 20, the 30 watt and the 50 watt, they all have a discount offer this week on Amazon. So if you just use the code 30 SGLEDs JUN, so 30 SGLEDs JUN this week until the 8th of June when the discount wears off. The discount coupon itself is actually 30% off. So 30% off each of these lights is actually a pretty good deal. You're getting a cheap kind of bright light option, especially for your home or kind of event lighting. So the 50 watt itself here, which is the light we've been mainly focusing on, if I switch it off now, the 50 watt version here is still kind of cool to touch. As you can see, there's no heat really created. The light's been on kind of a while and working in various modes as well. There's no heat or anything in the body or the light. So the light itself, actually with 30% off coupon, so the 30% off coupon of 30 SGLEDs JUN for this week, with 30% off, this 50 watt RGB floodlight is actually $34.99. So if you apply the coupon and go over to our Amazon page, you will actually be able to get this floodlight at a kind of low discount rate of $34.99. In terms of the 20 watt, in terms of the 30 watt light itself, if I can kind of bring it over, the 30 watt light itself will be on offer with 30% off as well. So they all have 30% off, but the price will be different. So the 30% off on the 30 watt light will result in $27.99. So this light itself, the smaller version, is going at $27.99. The 50 watt was $34.99. So compared to the 30 and the 50, you'll actually be getting I think the deal is kind of slightly better on the 50 watt, but they're all kind of a good deal in terms of kind of what you'll be getting for the money you're paying. In terms of the 70 watt, after the final discount of 30% off as well, using the coupon code, the light itself will actually be $46.19. So each light itself has its own discount for this week, and it's all 30% off. So kind of if you're looking for a good deal this month, this week, the deal itself on these lights, each of them will come at 30% off using the coupon code 30 SGLEDs JUN. So this discount itself actually ends on the 8th of June at 11:59 PM. So we hope you enjoyed the video today about our floodlight range, and kind of in the future maybe we'll cover our more standard just bright white RGB floodlight, just our bright white daylight floodlights as well. So thanks for listening, and kind of head over to our Amazon store if you're looking for 30% off on our SGLED floodlight range.